The room froze the moment the challenge left her lips. Crystal chandeliers shimmered above the grand hall, but the brightest thing in that place was the fire in her eyes. Serafina Cortez, heiress, genius, world-ranked chess star, leaned forward, her voice steady but sharp enough to cut air itself. "Beat me in chess," she declared, and she would marry him. Lose, and he would walk away forever. No negotiations, no second chances. The guests gasped, glasses halted mid-air, and the soft music in the background suddenly felt like a war drum, and across from her, sitting in a simple shirt and vest, was a man no one expected to challenge her. A single dad, a mechanic, a nobody to the glittering world she owned. But he had something they didn't, purpose, and that purpose sat in the front row, holding a tiny backpack covered in superhero stickers. His daughter. If you're someone who believes in kindness, hope, and second chances, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindora Life. Your support helps these stories reach more hearts. Arion Vale never planned to attend events like this, expensive, polished, filled with people who smelled more like money than humanity. But life had a cruel sense of humor. When his daughter, little Marvy, was diagnosed with a hearing condition months earlier, the medical bills didn't just drain his savings, they shattered his peace. He worked 3 jobs, sold every tool he could spare from his small auto repair shop, and still fell short. Tonight's charity gala offered one thing he needed more than pride, a chance he never asked for, but fate forced into his trembling hands. Serafina, known for her brilliance and icy confidence, had made a public announcement that she would auction a chess match for charity, a simple event until the media teased her about settling down, jokingly asking if she'd ever find a man smart enough to keep up with her. With a grin, she'd said, "Maybe the only man I could ever marry is the one who can beat me at chess." When Arion stepped forward with his silent confidence, she sharpened the deal into something dramatic, something nobody believed he could win. The match began in complete silence, guests forming a circle, whispers crawling through the hall. Serafina sat tall, elegant and composed, every move deliberate. Arion looked humble, almost too ordinary for this world of velvet and glitter, but the thing people couldn't see, was the mind beneath his quiet exterior, a mind trained not in tournaments or grand halls, but in late-night games taught by his grandfather, the man who had raised him on wisdom and strategy. Chess had once been Arion's private language of hope, until life pulled him away from it. Yet tonight, that lost piece of his soul woke again. The first move made the guests blink. Arion didn't hesitate. Calmly he placed his pawn, not aggressively, but with a confidence that rippled through the room. Serafina narrowed her eyes, sensing something off, not sloppy, not nervous, but deeply intentional. She countered swiftly, the sound of her piece clicking against the board echoing like a provocation. Arion continued with his second move, subtle but sharp, a move so simple that many dismissed it. But Serafina didn't. She felt the trap before she could identify it. Her breath hitched for the first time, a small crack in her perfect composure. The third move, Arion's final strike, fell like the softest whisper yet thundered through the hall like a storm. A 3-move checkmate. Elegant, brutal, genius. Gasps erupted everywhere. Someone dropped their champagne glass. Even the musicians stopped mid-note. Serafina's fingers hovered above the board, frozen disbelief flooding her eyes. She stared at the pieces as if they had betrayed her. But the truth was clearer. She had underestimated a man who carried worlds on his shoulders. In that endless moment, Arion didn't smirk, didn't revel, didn't boast. He simply bowed his head and whispered, "Thank you." It wasn't for the victory. It was for the opportunity the charity money would give his daughter. Marvy, sitting in the front row, lifted both hands and signed a clumsy little "You did it, Papa." Tears slipped down his cheeks before he could stop them. Serafina stood slowly, the room breathless around her. For years she'd been surrounded by people who pretended people who wanted her fame, her fortune, her brilliance. But Arian? He didn't want her at all. He only wanted a chance to save his child. Something in her chest loosened, softened, opened. She extended her hand. Her voice, usually firm and commanding, trembled like a quiet confession. "You didn't just beat me," she whispered. "You humbled me." The audience watched, mesmerized, as she walked around the table and stood before him, her gown shimmering like moonlight. She wasn't the chess prodigy now. She was simply a woman moved by truth. Carefully, she knelt beside Marvi and smiled at her. "Your father is brilliant," she said softly. "You should be proud." Marvi looked at her with wide eyes before hugging Arian's arm tightly. From that moment, the match was no longer about a challenge. It was about two worlds colliding, hers of luxury, his of struggle, and finding something unexpectedly pure in between. Serafina insisted on helping with Marvi's treatment, not out of pity, but admiration. She joined Arian at the hospital visits, stayed late at the workshop watching him repair cars, learning who he was beyond the three-move masterpiece that shocked the world. Slowly, hesitantly, like the pieces of a delicate puzzle, their lives began fitting together.